Communication man here. I have a new video for you. Question: why is it crucial that you never give excuses? Why do you think that is? We're going to get to that. So if you want to think about something, think about this. Why do you not want to give excuses? Because excuses cost you dignity. All right, so remember that the next time you want to give an excuse to someone, just think, do I want to give my dignity away? Subscribe now. We got a bunch of good videos coming up down the pipe, and if you like communication tips and life hacks in general, just subscribe and you'll never miss a video, okay? So this video is interesting because we're going to talk about how excuses create weak personalities. And if you want a weak personality, then just ignore this video. But if you want a strong personality and you want to protect yourself from vampires and emotional just parasites out there, then watch this video because it's going to help a lot. Number one, why is it so important to not give excuses? Here's why. If you make excuses, you will look feeble, immature, weak, and insecure. Do you want that label attached to you? No way, right? Number two, think about this. Even if you're not sure about something, be confident. It's not going to hurt you if you're confident. What you can do is, if you're not sure, just say, you know what? I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'll get back to you at the end of this, whatever it is, presentation, email, conference call. And I can give you a personal example of this. I was doing a speech last month, a couple weeks ago, and someone called me. I literally had 1 hour. That's all I had, 1 hour notice. And they're like, hey, someone canceled. Can you come in and speak? Well, fortunately, I was prepared, and that's one of the good things about life. Always be prepared because you never know when your opportunity is going to happen. And I wasn't even prepared. I wasn't even thinking about that, but thank God I had my clothes and all the dry cleaning. Everything was always ready. I always have some nice things on standby. So what happened was I showed up, and I'm giving this speech. Well, these people didn't know that I was a stand-in, and everything was going good. And then someone asked me the name of this book, some author, and I said something. It was a small excuse, like, oh, I didn't have time to prepare or whatever. And I remember immediately I could see how the audience just changed, how they looked at me. And then I stopped it right away. I just stopped making excuses, and I said, okay, I'll get back to you at the end of the presentation. And I did. I wrote it on the board when I was done. And I realized, this is such an important thing that I should just share a video with this, because it's something I've observed, and I've taken a lot of mental notes, and I was like, let's just share this with other people who may not really be aware of it, or they're aware of it, but they're not thinking about it, they're not conscious about it. So when you think about it, excuses are feeble forms of apologies, all right? So it's like giving someone a counterfeit dollar bill and saying, well, it looks real, but it doesn't really spend anywhere legally. It's a big problem in the end. It's much better just not to give it to them. So what I'm telling you is you don't want to say you're sorry or give excuses, all right? And I'm going to help you understand what to do as we progress through this video. So if you think about it, though, you're going to paint yourself as a loser. And do you really want to look like the loser? No way, right? And also, if you look at this picture and the guy on the right, he's sweating, he looks super insecure. That's what excuses do. They paint you as this monster, this silly, feeble, weak-minded person, and that's not really a good picture to paint of yourself. So think about this. You never win when you make self-justifications, and I'm going to expand on that as we go on. You're probably thinking, if I do not give excuses, does that mean I never admit I'm wrong or I never apologize? No, that's not what it means. So you can admit you're wrong, but you don't apologize and give excuses because they look insincere, even if you give them. You're wasting your time. So think about this. If you say sorry, you may not even actually be wrong in the situation, but it starts to paint you like you're the bad guy. And one of the things I thought was interesting when I was visiting in England, I remember I saw a lot of Brits, especially males, but say they're sorry for everything. Women too, but especially males, and they'd say just apologize for everything. And I remember thinking, what a weird thing. Like some girl could say, oh, I have a headache, and a guy would be like, oh, I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing for her headache? Unless you caused it. But in this situation that I'm referring to, this actually happened. He didn't cause the headache. He didn't even know her that well. And I remember thinking, it was weird because I saw her look at him and she's like, yeah, it's really bad. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. He kept saying, I'm sorry. And she's like, yeah, yeah, it's really terrible. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. And she's like, yeah, this sucks. And I could see like she was kind of taking her anger out at him and looking at him kind of like he was bad, even though he didn't do anything wrong. And so the reason I'm saying don't say you're sorry is what he was really trying to say was something else, but he was using lazy language. So you got to always, do your best to use a more intelligent language or more appropriate. What he meant to say is, I hope your headache goes away. I hate that pain. It feels terrible. Headaches are the worst. And said, oh, I'm sorry. What he's saying is, I hope you didn't, I hope your headache goes away, right? But when you start to say, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean to do this, or anything like that, it just makes you look like you're the bad guy. So it's a bad role to position yourself in. So a leader says, this is what I did. This is my choice. I see that it wasn't the best one, and I'm going to make this different choice in the future. That's it. There's no long deliberation. There's no 3-hour conversation. It's just a quick, all right, this is what my decision was, and now I'm going to make a better decision in the future. So what you're doing is you're deciding and you're resolving future action to be taken. So basically, you don't want to say a whole lot except show positive change. This is what intelligent people do. Foolish people, they put themselves in terrible corners and they get themselves screwed a lot of times emotionally, financially, and from people who are abusers and users by trying to talk too much and try to explain too much. And then what happens is, as they say, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean to do this, or whatever, maybe like 10% of what they did was wrong, and 99% or 90%, I'm sorry, was apologize. See, I just said I'm sorry. I'm even breaking this habit. So what I'm telling you is 90% of it could just be pure innocent, wasn't really even there, something that they could be responsible for, say a weather delay or something. So instead of saying I'm sorry if like a shipment was delayed or something, just to say, we're working on it, and we're going to get there as fast as we can. This delay is frustrating for everybody. Instead of saying, I'm sorry our company didn't deliver our product, that just sounds so annoying, say, we are working on it. The shipment was delayed because of a hurricane or some, terrible storm or, equipment malfunctioning, but we, sent it out on a different airline or whatever the situation is, and show that you're resolving it. It looks much better than we're sorry, we're incompetent, we're we're feeble, we're insincere. It just doesn't look good. So free yourself. And I like this picture I put of a chain breaking free. Do not put yourself in a position where people can manipulate you and control you. So I like this picture of the judge on the top, like folding his hands. Do not put yourself where you're in the defense position and the jury is looking at you, everyone's pointing their finger at you, the prosecutor is trying to nail you against the wall, and the prosecutor in this situation could be the other party, could be abusers. There's people who, they're opportunists. They love to look for other people when they fall or make a mistake, and they love to just blow it up into this Mount Everest of a problem when really it was just a little tiny hill, and they're going to try to kill and destroy your reputation and all these other things. So don't allow yourself to be painted into criminal position. Simply stay away from saying I'm sorry and just accept responsibility for whatever your actions are and explain the different choice, and that's it. In conclusion, as soon as you apologize and say, you're sorry, I'm sorry, it starts to label you as the bad person, the person who is not right, and you don't want that sticker on your head. Think about that. If what you're saying is, I'm sorry, and maybe you're not even really wrong, this may not even be the case, that you're not even guilty, but you're assuming guilt. So it's a bad role to position yourself in. When this happens, society in general and people who are abusers, they're opportunists, they will enjoy taking you down and throwing punches at you. Exploiters are eager to blow things out of proportion. So you're going to look around at life and you're going to notice a lot of these situations now that we're talking about it. And there's people who maybe they didn't even really do anything wrong, but as soon as they said, I'm sorry, a lot of people on social media or in the workplace will gang up against them and say, oh, look what they did, and start pointing fingers because it feels good to them. Some people are narcissistic and just abusers in general, and they're emotionally trying to, like I said in the very beginning of this video, they're parasites. They're trying to feel better by making other people feel worse. It's a creepy, pathetic, low form of they think it's control when in reality they're terrible people. So when you try to defend yourself against something, you never win. So you're always going to lose. And an example could be, what if, say, perhaps you told a joke that it wasn't appropriate, maybe for the workplace, but it wasn't insanely inappropriate. It wasn't so offensive where it would cost you your job. It was just mildly offensive. Well, if a sane person hears that, they might think, okay, that wasn't the best choice, but okay, whatever, things happen. If you start to apologize to everybody, oh, I wish I didn't say that joke. I wasn't thinking. I don't know what I was thinking when I said it. All these things, you're just going to look dumb. It's much better if someone asks you about it. You can say, yes, I made the joke. I next time won't say a joke like that around the people in the office place unless I know them personally. Or you don't even have to say that. You can just say, yep, I did. Next time I won't. That's it. You don't have to explain yourself. So think about this as a gentleman, as a gentle lady, or as a strong personality. Instead of apologizing to people, just you can tell them what you really mean. And if they're upset at you and they're saying, why didn't you get this faster, you can say, thank you for your patience. I appreciate you, patiently waiting for me. I got this done now. Or if they're just being belligerent and they're really upset at you, you can say, thank you for understanding. I understand where you're frustrated, and I'll take care of it. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, I didn't mean to do this. It's annoying. So if someone's talking to you and they're angry, and you explain to them, hey, this is what happened, thank you for listening, and etc., you move on. So this can also work if someone's just being insulting, like even if it's not really anything, you didn't do anything wrong. Some people are just rude. This is a little bonus, a little caveat, but sometimes people can insult you, and I've noticed an easy way to take this out, and I had to learn this skill when I was in the military, especially basic training, and then just as I progressed, there's a lot of pushback between soldiers, and even in society, it's not just in the military, where people try to see where you are mentally, what your strength is, and you're going to be perceived as extremely low status if someone insults you and you can't push back a little. And an example of this is I know I saw some people sometimes just insulting something dumb or trivial. Maybe they're jealous, maybe they're genuinely upset with you. And depending on what the situation is, you can diffuse it. And if they're saying, something, your outfit looks terrible, or something, rude like that, you can say, oh, thank you for your kind words. They're charming and heartwarming. And you can kind of just play around with it. And you're being sarcastic, but it's also better than being a complete jerk, right? And another thing about that is when you agree with someone or kind of go with them, it kind of takes away their steam. It disarms them. So it's fun because there's ridiculous people who logic doesn't work with them. They know what they're doing. They're trying to like cut you a little bit and to see, are you going to bleed? Are you going to scream? Are you going to cry? Are you going to pull a knife and cut me back? You want to fight? Some people, they're addicted to the feeling of anxiety, and they like the little bit of adrenaline they get when they're fighting with people. That's why they won't stop fighting. Like it's in their makeup of their day. They're bored people. They don't have a lot of goals in their life, and they're kind of drifting, and they're looking for some opportunity, someone that they can punch emotionally, so they can take out all their hatred and their anger on themselves or for whatever terrible existence they have and push it on you. So what you can do is, it can be in a bar, it can be in a restaurant, it can be in a workplace, is have fun with it. So if someone says, oh, I remember in the military, you'd hear, a lot of homophobic stuff. Oh, you're gay, or you're stupid, or whatever. And you're like, why, are you hitting on me? You trying to get on me? Like, hey man, I don't roll that way, but I don't know, you're looking at me kind of weird. And it doesn't matter what it is. You just kind of, you push it always back on them. And they can be disgusting, and you just push it back on them. And think about that, because you're going to always have people that their whole goal is to take you down a couple pegs in life. And if you let them, they will. So what you have to do is you have to have a strong defense mentally. And that's the reason you don't want to apologize to people, because they're going to take a sledgehammer and beat you down and like an axe and start chipping away at your legs until you can't stand, until you got no feet, and then you got no legs, and then eventually you're dead. Your reputation's gone, or it's been tarnished so bad. You don't have a reputation other than a negative one, right? And you don't want to live your life on eggshells. So by learning how to disarm people and say, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate your wisdom. That is just so insightful." And it could be something really insulting, correct? And it could be something really like a big diss. But when you just disarm it, they don't really have anywhere to go. They can keep doing it, but you keep disarming it. And it's like, oh, you throw a missile at me? All right, you shoot down the missile. Oh, you throw a grenade at me? All right, you blow up the grenade. It doesn't, your wall protects you, right? So you're not letting it get in your camp, which is your psyche, your emotional well-being. And that's the benefit of not apologizing. Just, like I said, if you made a choice, you could admit that and say next choice will be different. And that's it. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to say I'm sorry 100,000 times. Just accept the responsibility and move on. As always, I have a positive recorded message you can call. It's 60 to 90 seconds. It's recorded. You don't have to worry about anyone answering the call. The number is 1-424-394-1818. It's also in the comment below. You can just call it. Save it to your contact list. Star it. And I update it every Monday. Give it a call. It's a really cool thing. It's free advice, and it's always a little gem, a little wisdom. We're at the end of the video. Thank you for staying. I appreciate you. You rock. And this is like one of the best parts. Cool questions lead to better conversations. So remember this question and ask your friend after you watch this video, or someone you talk to, or someone important to you. Ask them, hey, imagine yourself at 91 years old. What would you have liked to accomplish with your life? You're 91 years old in the future. You're thinking about what you've done in the past. For me personally, I would like to have helped. I've already talked about this in my introduction videos. I hope by then I have created enough content and I've helped enough people to be able to connect with people better, to understand people deeper, to have more forgiveness for themselves and with others, because communication is so messy, to understand that, and to be able to emotionally protect themselves from vampires, because those are skills and people need to know how to do that. And that's what this video is for, is part of helping people not get taken advantage of, because I see a lot of nice people get pooped on by terrible people who have basically cannons, and these people have little squirt guns to protect themselves with. And skills are just like weapons. You need the proper weapons to protect yourself from enemies. And we don't live in a perfect world, so we need to know how to make it a safer place, and also make it so we can have more peace instead of violence. So that's my hope. I hope I had a strong financial legacy for my children, for my family, and also give them wisdom and love. So what at 91 do you hope you've accomplished? Comment below. It'd be really interesting to hear to read your answers, and I'm sure other people would be curious too. So subscribe, and I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you're having a great day, and until the next video.